morning, traders. I'm Emily Vani, the CEO of the Investment Banking Institute and your host here at NewsWare's Trade Talk. Joining me is trading anchor Bill Olson, who brings more than 30 years of institutional trading experience to our program. At Trade Talk, we provide the facts, themes, and trading ideas for the day ahead. Today is Friday, January 10th. Welcome back to trading on this Friday, ahead of yesterday's National Day of Mourning when markets were closed. Markets ended mixed and fairly muted, attempting to find direction during regular trading. Back on Wednesday, the Dow added 106 points, or 0.25%. The S&P 500 also finished in the green, picking up 9 points, or 0.16%. The Nasdaq ended in the red, giving up just 10 points, or 0.08%. Bill, let's get into Friday's action with what is happening in the markets this morning.
Yes, good morning, Emily. I'm watching the S&Ps. We're down 0.19%. Let's call it 0.2%. It is a little weakness ahead of that non-farms payroll report that's coming out this morning at 8:30 a.m., 1 hour before the market opens. But yesterday we did have some Fed speak going on. I mean, two Fed officials came out and they were saying on Thursday they gave indications that the Fed's rate policy is near neutral. And then a third one, St. Louis Fed Bank president, also spoke on Thursday. And what he came out with, and he said that he thinks that the market and the economic outlook, it's different now than it was 4 months ago when they started to lower rates, which is not positive. I don't think the Fed's going to do anything with interest rates when they meet later this month. I don't believe they meet in February, and I also don't think that they're going to do a rate cut in March. I think the earliest we can see a rate cut is maybe June, but that's very far off. What's going on today? Insurance stocks, they're getting hit this morning, because of the California wildfires. It's destroyed thousands of structures. You were seeing Allstate, Travelers Group, and Chubb, ticker ALL, TRV, and CB. They get the most exposure there, and those stocks are trading lower. I see that the Biden administration is planning another round of restrictions on exports of AI chips before President Biden leaves office. Taiwan Semiconductor, TSM, they did report strong revenue for the last quarter this morning. That stock's trading higher. The Supreme Court is going to start to hear arguments today on that bipartisan bill, which is a law to ban the video sharing app TikTok. We'll see what happens with that. Delta Airlines, hey, they delivered an earnings beat this morning, and they forecast a strong year ahead. That's positive. Now we're taking a look over in Europe, see what we have going on over there. We're looking at the DAX. The DAX is up 68 points, or 0.34%. FTSE's trading lower by 36 points, or 0.44%. The CAC is trading higher by about 10 points, or 0.13%. The German 10-year bond yields, they're reaching a 6-month peak. London is negative. Financial sector is a little weak as traders continue to show concern with the UK's fiscal policies. But France, their industrial production rose 0.2% month over month in November, which was rebounding from a 0.3% decline the previous month, and that beat the forecast. So that's all positive. Taking a quick look at Asia to see what happened last night in the Far East. We're looking at the Nikkei dropped 414 points, or 1.05%. We're looking at the Hang Seng dropped 176 points, or 0.92%. The Shanghai in China dropped 42 points, which is 1.33%. Okay, what do we have? Nikkei saw weakness in autos and pharmaceutical stocks. But Hong Kong and China, the PBOC announced a temporary suspension of government bond purchases due to a supply shortage. The issue here are more widespread. I mean, you got ongoing U.S.-China relations, which are cautionary. Let's call it cautionary. Property sector is still under pressure. China continues to talk about stimulus, but it's kind of fallen on deaf ears because they got to really deliver some really positive, more strong stimulus action for those markets to start to recover. Because right now they're not looking very strong. I will say that. Now we're taking a look at oil, which is trading strong. We're looking at oil. It's up over 3.5% this morning. WTI is at $76.57 a barrel, up 3.58%. We got Brent at $79.64 a barrel, up 3.54%. The cold weather that hit the U.S., it's also hitting in Europe. A lot of flights are being canceled, but the cold weather is elevating oil demand. And then the market's also expecting weakening output from Russia and Iran, mainly due to a change in administration. I mean, those countries, exports could be dwindling. So that's causing oil prices to really spike this morning, up over 3.5%. But that's what I have for you in terms of a morning market update, Emily.
Bill, this morning you're really dabbling in a little bit of everything there. Right out of the gate, we did hear about, economic events and reports, that non-farm payrolls being very important today to keep an eye on. And again, even trying to put together these pieces of information to anticipate what the Fed's going to do next. You did mention corporate headlines. You mentioned earnings action, and after a lull in earnings action, it will start to heat up from here and moving forward throughout the week. And again, maybe a little bit of a lag here given yesterday's national holiday, but let's start with earnings action. Bill, what is going on there?
I'm just doing a quick data check. I'm looking at my Dow stocks. I got 12 lower, one unchanged, and the rest are higher. My FANG stocks are mostly lower. Tesla's showing a little bit of action though. Um, and in terms of what's going on with the earnings action, I'm looking at Walgreens ticker WBA, William Boy Apple. Listen, they beat by 11 cents, and they did that on higher revenue. Walgreens is trading higher by 14.97%. Then we got Delta Airlines ticker DAL. They also beat by 11 cents, and they did that on higher revenue. You look at Delta, it's up 8.65% this morning. Upcoming Monday. It's Monday afternoon. We got KB Homes, ticker KBH, Kilo Boy Henry. Their EPS is $2.45. Expected move is 7.50% when they release. Call put ratio is 0.55, which is positive. Home builders are also seeing a little bit of positive action this morning because of the California wildfires. So, you got to keep that in mind. But that's what I have for you in terms of earnings action, Emily.
Now we'll get to economic events. We did both mention that non-farm payrolls, an important report to be keeping an eye on, but Bill, give us a rundown of everything we should be watching when it comes to economic events.
Well, the key one, obviously, today is the non-farms payroll report. Uh, these are the payroll report for December. Expectations are for an increase of 163,000 jobs, but there's going to be some distortion in here, due to the hurricanes and the strikes. But they're really in the rearview mirror here. Unemployment is probably going to hold at 4.2%. Although, I mean, if it's rounded, it could round up, to 4.3. But let's keep an eye on that employment rate. That's going to be the key aspect of the jobless report when it comes out this morning. And let's face it, Wednesday's jobless numbers, came in much softer than expected. For the week ending January 4th, claims fell to 201,000. Now that's a decrease of 10,000 jobs from the previous week, which makes the 4-week moving average 213,000, which is down 10,000 from the previous week. So, employment seems to be in a better situation than what the Fed was anticipating. But the key aspects is this morning non-farm payrolls report, 8:30 a.m. 10 a.m. you get consumer sentiment. It's the University of Michigan number, and then at 1 p.m. today we get the Baker Hughes rate count. But that's all I have for you in terms of news, economic news hitting the tape this morning, Emily.
And Bill, I think it's worth mentioning, as I do most days that there's important data coming out, that you're going to be able to see that information as soon as it hits the tape, as soon as it's released. And because that kind of report can be a market driver, you're doing this because you have NewsWare and you're able to get these headlines, these pieces of information as quickly as possible so you can stay ahead of any trends on the trading day instead of trailing behind it. As we heard before, you're really taking a look at your stocks this morning and really grabbing trends in different sectors and segments. And you're able to do this because of your NewsWare. You also look at things like merger news, guidance news, shareholders meetings, buyback news, and other catalyst calls. And you look at your stocks grouped together, like your FANG stocks and your Dow 30 stocks. So Bill, what else do you see is possibly moving the markets today?
Just doing a quick data check. The insurers, Allstate down 4.95%, Chubb down 4.04%, Travelers Group down 4.16%. Remember, Travelers got a double upgrade on Wednesday from Goldman, and here it is, it's down 4%. And then you look at the quantum stocks, which are rebounding slightly up 1.5% mainly. Which is good because remember Tuesday, Jensen Huang of NVIDIA said that the quantum computing is 30 years out. Well, they're refuting that, and they're saying it's not like it's 30 years out. It's here today. So we're seeing a little bit of rebounded, those quantum stocks this morning. But semiconductors are weak for the most part, except for Taiwan Semiconductor, which came out with those positive revenue figures, which is good to see. Oil stocks trading higher as oil's up, is up 3.5% this morning. But you're looking for some of the news behind it, like in the FANG stocks, I'm seeing Google and Apple are defending their mobile browser policies against UK watchdogs that are really on them about that deal that they have. Let's talk Meta for a second. That TikTok case is being heard by the Supreme Court today. If the ban is upheld, you got to remember that advertising revenue has to go somewhere. And 80% of TikTok's $10 billion in ad revenue will likely go to Google and Meta, is what their forecasts are. Tesla, hey, they're launching a new version of their Model Y. It's best-selling car in China on Friday, so that's positive. In terms of Dow Jones 30 stocks, Travelers Group (TRV) down over 4%. Due to those LA wildfires. But the losses are manageable for them, but still you're going to see some weakness in those insurance stocks today. Chevron up over 1% this morning. It's leading the Dow on the upside. That could be why, because of that rally in crude oil prices. It's helping to push the stock higher. Crude oil up 3.5%. Chevron, trading higher by 1.23%. In terms of merger news, Constellation Energy, ticker CEG, they're buying Calpine for $26.6 billion. And I want to point out Frank McCourt, he's a real estate developer out of LA. He used to own the Dodgers. He's got this Project Liberty, and they reached out and they made a group of partners, and they made a formal bid to ByteDance to buy TikTok assets. The deal wasn't disclosed in terms of the terms, but they apparently did make a deal to buy TikTok's U.S. assets. In terms of guidance, we're talking DAL, Delta Airlines, ACQ1 EPS coming in 70 cents to $1. Street estimate is 77 cents. That's an uptick. You gotta like that. In terms of shareholder events going on, just want to point out Monday is that big JP Morgan healthcare conference. Pfizer CEO is going to be speaking at 12:30 p.m. On Monday. So we want to keep an eye on shares of Pfizer for some gains. In terms of buyback news, Royal Pharmaceuticals, that's ticker RPRX, Richard X-Ray, their board authorized a 3 billion share repurchasing program. In terms of catalyst calls, Bud, ticker BUD, boy, Uncle David, Budweiser opens up a positive catalyst watch on InBev. Charles Schwab, ticker SCHW. Citibank opened up a 90-day downside catalyst watch on Schwab. Apparently, TD America is going to now start selling some of their shares. That could cause some selling pressure action in Schwab SCHW, hence the 90-day catalyst downside move for Citibank on Charles Schwab. But that's what I have for you in terms of news hitting the tape this morning, Emily.
This is the type of data that NewsWare delivers daily. It's factual, it's market moving, and our alerting functions bring it to your attention as it happens. Go to www.newsware.com now and sign up for the trial and see for yourself the benefits that professional Newswire delivers. We've now made it to that time of the show for the Trade Talk pick of the day. Bill, we're returning to trading just for one day on this Friday. What is your pick of the day today?
I'm looking at the market. I really don't like a lot of things out there, but what I do think is interesting this morning is Tesla. I think there could be an opportunity for that stock to move a little higher based on the fact that they did come out with that new Model Y, which is their best selling vehicle in China. So I think that's kind of positive. I'm looking at Friday's call volume. 1 million, over a million contracts traded on the call side versus 746 on the put side. Open interest, 4 million on the call side, 3.9 million on the put side. Okay, major brokers, they're semi-positive on the stock. They're not running from it, but honestly, I think that we could see some gains in the stock this morning. I'm gonna call an entry price of 394 here. Low 394s and maybe 390, 390 to 394. But I do think this thing has the ability to move, at least 1% higher during the trading day today. So that's my pick of the day. Tesla, ticker TSLA, Tom, Sam, Larry, Apple, Emily.
Tesla, it is today, and coming up, we will do a recap on Wednesday's pick of the day before we sign off for the weekend. So stick with us. But ahead of that, let's take a look at the current breaking headlines that have hit the tape in our hot off the press segment. Bill, sending it back to you.
Shake Shack appointed a new chief informational technology officer. Constellation CFO expects to deliver operating cash flow above initial targets. DSM, Taiwan Semiconductor, they reported December revenue up 58% year over year. Estee Lauder, Ron Lauder is going to be retiring from the board of directors. Pfizer announces positive results from phase 3 CREST trial of its drug Sensilium. Macy's closing 66 store locations. You know, they really need to do something there, Macy's. Costco, ticker COSD, after the bell on Wednesday, they reported D-sales that increased 9.9% from last year. IGMS, India Grace Michael Sam, IGM Biosciences is reducing its workforce by 73% and evaluating strategic alternatives. Clear Channel Outdoor Holdings, the advertising company, said on Thursday that it was selling its European North section of its business to a subsidiary, Braun Media, for $625 million in cash. That's all I'm seeing this morning, Emily.
Okay, Bill, before we sign off for the weekend, let's do that check-in on Wednesday's pick of the day, which was United Healthcare. I did see that HSBC initiated a buy rating on the stock this morning with a price target of $595. Now, if we take a look back at Wednesday, you made an entry point call. Opening price was just cents away from that. It's having a nice little run here. Now, but we did anticipate earnings, but I believe they may have been pushed back because of the holiday yesterday that sort of mixed things up when it comes to earnings reports. But most importantly, how did your call work out?
Worked out well. United Healthcare, UNH, stock opened up at $514.49. Then it was hit by some weakness because the market was weak and it fell down to 509.51. And then it took off and it hit a high of 524.99. And, you know, this morning I saw it trading at 526. So anyway, you look at it, it easily beat the 1% goal that we had. So UNH, Uncle Nancy Henry was a positive winner on Wednesday, Emily.
Nice little gain there, Bill, and we will check in with you on Monday about today's Tesla pick of the day. Bill, thank you as always for your expert insight. Join us back here Monday and each weekday morning next week at NewsWare's Trade Talk when we provide the facts, themes, and trading ideas for the day ahead. Again, I'm your host, Emily Advani, here with trading anchor Bill Olson. Traders, you know what to do. Let's go out there and make some green.